Good morning, students. Today we are going to take part C of chapter 1. In part A and B, we have dealt with Hundi and the other details of the chapter. All the human activities are divided into two parts: economic activity and non-economic activity. Activity is further subclassified into profession, business, and employment. Now, economic activity is done with the motive of earning, and non-economic activity is done with social and psychological motive. Economic activities, the outcome is they lead to creation of wealth and assets, and non-economic activities, they lead to satisfaction and happiness. Third is expectation. In case of economic activity, people expect profit or money from the activity, whereas in non-economic, people don't expect profit. They expect satisfaction and the consideration part as the basis. They are guided by rational consideration as they involve the use of scarce economic resource such as land, labor, capital. Whereas in non-economic activities, they are motivated by emotional and sentimental means. No economic consideration is required. Now, same activity can be converted from economic to non-economic and vice versa also. For example, if we see in the slide, a chef cooking in a restaurant, it is economic activity, and a mother cooking for the family is non-economic activity. But suppose if you have passion for cooking, you are a housewife, people enjoy your food, but they feel bad that they are coming and eating and you're not getting anything. Maybe the members of your family are also not happy. Then, sooner or later, they tell you to take money for what you are giving out. Maybe the friends of your child who's in the college, and slowly you have shifted from non-economic to economic, because anything, even if it is satisfaction for having a passion for cooking and you want to see people enjoying your food, the material required needs money. So it cannot go very long without money. You are converting from non-economic to economic, and it generally happens at the lower level of the basic need requirements. Whereas reverse is also possible, that people change from economic activity to non-economic. A doctor, for example, after a very long practice, you feel money isn't going to buy you everything, all money one side, and you cannot buy a single breath of a person who's very near and dear to you. And you start having a detachment towards materialistic world, or you feel you have got a lot from the society. It is your turn now to pay back to society. So you are not taking any money. You are giving out what you are capable of giving to the society. If as a doctor, you are treating people free of cost. If you're a teacher, maybe after retirement, you want to give something to the society. You are teaching children of the slum areas free of cost. It gives you a satisfaction. And usually this takes place at a higher level of need. At a higher level of need. What you would be studying in your 12th class, there is a need hierarchy. It's only when the lower level needs are fulfilled that the higher level needs are taken up. So moving from non-economic to economic means there is some requirement of money, and for the money's sake you're moving up. It's not bad. Whereas when you see people are moving from economic to non-economic, it is a saturation point where you feel that money cannot buy everything to you. So you want to do something good to the society, you want to have a satisfaction for yourself. Next, we are going to take one by one all the economic activities. All the economic activities where first one is business. It is the state of being busy or occupied. It is what business is literally. In a way, all economic activities related to production and distribution of goods and services undertaking for monetary gains are said to be business. What you could see in the picture also, whether it is a trading organization, you are selling out things, or you are providing services, or you are manufacturing goods. It's business. Now, if we see characteristics of business, first one, I would like to put a star mark on that. Entrepreneur's presence. There should be a mindset of an entrepreneur within a businessman when you are taking up a business. And what is an entrepreneur's mindset? A zeal to do something, to take risk, to be innovative, to go for a venture. Then it is an economic activity. It involves production and procurement of goods and services, then sale or exchange of goods and services, regularity in the dealing, then utility creation. Now, we have four types of utility creation. Three is in your syllabus. Fourth, we have taken up because it exists. Form utility, place utility, time utility, possession utility. Form utility means what? You have taken a raw material, maybe potatoes you have bought from the market, you have chopped them properly in the form of chips, and you're selling it in market. The format of that potato has changed. Place utility. You change the place and you get money out of it. For example, sand lying at the riverside has no economic value. But the same sand, when is loaded on the truck and moved to the construction site, gains utility. So I've changed the place, I'm getting utility out of it. Time utility. All the warehouses, what they are doing? Off-season vegetables, they're expensive. Maybe when it is 15, 20 rupees tomato, nobody would think of buying it. And what your warehouses are doing, they're preserving it. And they're selling it off the season also. And the value is increased. That is a business. Possession utility, ownership part, changes and the value changes. A disputed land has no value, but the moment it is being rectified by a builder and he constructs an apartment, the possession part here has led to the change in the value of it, and it becomes a business. It becomes a business. Next is profit earning, which I stretch to wealth maximization. Profit maximization is generally for one financial year we talk of profit. Wealth maximization is year after year. And business is not one-time activity, it has to continue forever. So a business should always think about wealth maximization. For example, if I say I'm moving on a particular route to my native town, and it's a routine feature. When I have a small baby and I'm moving with that baby, I need milk. And The train is going to have a halt for changing its engine at a particular station. I know that I am ready to pay a price which is reasonable for milk. I move to a tea vendor and I request I have my own utensil. Please boil milk and give it to me for my child. He would charge me 500 rupees. Now, here it was my necessity because my child was hardly 2 to 3 months old. I need that milk desperately to feed the child. I'll buy. But I will always have a feeling this man has feasted me, has exploited me. Now, next time when I move on the same route, I find the same tea vendor, he might have forgotten me because he finds 1,000 people every day. But I remember his face. I'll never buy from him because I felt when I was in need, he had literally charged me heavily, which was not genuine. Had it been reverse case, he would have taken a nominal amount. I would have recommended even others to buy from his tea stall. So wealth maximization is reputation, goodwill for long run. Then there's uncertainty of return. There's minor difference in the 2 points. Element of risk is existing. You calculate it, which we'll be taking in our next slide. What is risk? And uncertainty of return means your prediction could go for fluctuation within a given range. You cannot be specific that I'm going to get this return only. Now, we have 5 objectives. Normally, you could see in this, we have 7, but your syllabus doesn't go for that much. So we'll only restrict to 5. But I'll definitely tell you the next one is organizational objective. That means it's only when the organization is there that I can think of anything. So organization must survive first, then grow, and then add to the prestige of it. Add to the prestige of it. It's like saying a patient first he should be in a breathing position. Then you would try to see that his organs are working properly. And then you would like him to have a healthy life. Moving ahead. Then comes your economic objective. All the financial indicators in the terms of profit, creation of customers, best possible use of resources, and regular innovation. They are part of economic objective. Then, human objective or personal objective. We club the two together. Human could be in the form of group, could be in the form of individual. That is personal objective also. We club the two together. First, the one who is working as an employee should get fair remuneration and incentives. Then, the promotional opportunity should be there. Now, next coming to social objective, it's a broad band and here only they split it into two. Social objective, national objective. Don't go for that. And if we go for that, we add one more to it. So here, a business when operating doesn't go in isolation. It's in the society with various market forces where consumers or customers are there, suppliers, government, environment, creditors, employees. Everybody has certain expectations out of you. Customer feels, give me right type of commodity. Supplier, smooth flow of commodities. Government, pay taxes timely. Environment, do not pollute. creditors timely payment, employees fair remuneration. So you are in the society and society has certain expectations out of you. Then is global objective. Now the world has come to a globe. So that is why we are skipping national, we are coming straight away to global, rising in the general standard of living, reducing disparities among nations, making the things available globally, competitive goods or services, both of it. Then we are coming to the second economic activity, profession. What you could see, we have taken the picture of a doctor. Could be others also. It is an economic activity that requires special knowledge and skill to be applied by individuals in their work to earn money and is regulated by professional association. This is very important. If statistics of it. Specified knowledge for specified duration from specified institution followed by certification. I have clubbed 3 to 4 points in this same one. You have to be specific. Suppose if it is engineering, we say it's 4-year course. And if you're studying mechanical, the knowledge of mechanical. If you're studying electrical, the knowledge of electrical. So specified knowledge चाहिए for specified duration of 4 years from a particular college. And in spite of all, if you don't have the certificate, nobody will accept you. So certificate, specified knowledge, specified duration, specified institution, followed by certification. Then the return for a professional is fees. You will see as a professional, lawyers, doctors, they are charging their fees. Then rigid code of conduct to be dictated by professional association. This is very important. We have different professional associations, for example, Institute of Chartered Accountants providing guidelines for accountants, Institute of Engineers for engineers, Bar for lawyers, Medical Council for doctors. Then, a profession dominates with service motive. Service should be the first priority. And there is restricted entry. Again, I like to put a point over here where you people say we have so many donation colleges, whether we say engineering, medical, even by donation, what we are doing? We are restricting entry because 100% government oriented free colleges entirely on merit cannot be there in the society. So the colleges which are coming with management quota or maybe as a private college, what they are doing is they're saying bare minimum mental ability you should have. That is, you should qualify the test. For example, for medical, they say you have to qualify NEET. And after that, they are private colleges, they are taking money. So money is also a filtering point. You're not taking any Tom and Hardy. So as a profession, whether through both examinations as well as through money, you restrict or management quota, you are restricting entry. It's not like a general graduation. To the third economic activity, employment. It's a contract between two parties, one being employer, the one who is hiring you, and the other being employee. The commercial setting says the employer conceives of productive activity generally with the intention of creating profit, and the employee contributes labor to the enterprise usually in return for the payment of the wages. It's a very conservative approach. We never use wages and salary or salary and wages. We use remuneration. To the extent that employment of the economic equivalent is not universal, unemployment might exist. Now, characteristics of employment. Two parties are involved, employer and employee. Then it commences with offer and acceptance of employment letter. Then the content of employment letter is applicable on both the parties. For example, if you say 3 months notice has to be given before leaving the job or taking out an employee. That means if the employer wants to fire a employee, he has to give either 3 months notice or 3 months salary. And the same way, if the employee for a better opportunity is quitting off, has to give 3 months notice or 3 months salary. Then remuneration is the return and qualification depends upon the requirement. Now with this we come down to the characters differences in between business profession and employment. First, on the basis of commencement, business commences with the decision of the entrepreneur. The day you decide, you start. There's no much legal formality except if the business is of that sort. Profession commences with the completion of the degree course and by getting a certificate of practice. Otherwise, you cannot start. And employment commences on joining a duty by entering into service agreement. That is, by accepting the letter. Qualification. In business, no minimum qualification is required before starting a business. In profession, prescribed professional qualification and training is required. And in employment, qualification depending upon the nature of the job has to be there. Investment, capital requirement depends upon the scale of operation in case of business. Limited capital investment is required in case of profession for office setup, and in case of employment, no capital investment is required. Remember, if security deposit is also there, it is refundable amount. That is not an investment. It is refunded. It is taken as a security. Then fourth, risk. In business, risk level is high and uncertainty is there. In profession, comparatively, you have moderate or little risk. And in employment, there is almost negligible risk. Next, transfer of interest. In business, transfer of interest is possible with some formalities. You can transfer your business to your next generation. In case of profession, under no case it is possible. It is not possible. Your degree is your degree. You cannot pass it on to your son. And in case of employment, also not possible to transfer the service contract. You can refer a candidate on your behalf, but you cannot transfer. Then, objective. In case of business, again, wealth maximization. I have written in bold. Profit is a conservative approach, even though you'll be getting marks if you write profit. But that is not a very fair terminology. Then, in case of profession, to provide services, and in case of employment, is to earn income by satisfying the employer. It's not that you want to run away with money. You want to render services and then only take that money. Then, code of conduct. For business, there is no prescribed code of conduct, but business ethics has to be there. In case of profession, rigid code of conduct is prescribed by professional association. And in case of employment, the terms and conditions of the service contract is the code of conduct which is applicable to the employee. With this, we are over with this session. But before we conclude, even though we are classifying it into business profession employment, there is no watertight compartmentation. There can always be a overfloating from one to another. From one to another. For example, a doctor working in a hospital is a professional employment. It is the example of a professional employment. A doctor running his own nursing home, which is a professional business, right? So there can be an overlap. Thank you very much. This was Jyoti Srivastava.